Good evening and welcome to the regular twice monthly meeting of Westminster's Mayor and Common Council. I'm pleased to note that the Mayor and Council are once again able to meet publicly here in our chamber here in City Hall. Even as our meetings become open to the public again, they will continue to be available and streamed live on the city's Facebook page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. Now I'll begin as we do every meeting with the pledge to the flag, followed by a moment of silence. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online on the city's website. First, we'll consider the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the meeting of the Mayor and Council on July 12th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
There's been a motion by Ms. Gilbert and a second by Mr. Dayhoff. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. We have two items for presentations this evening. And for that, we will turn, as we always do, to the Mayor. Dr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the first proclamation we have is for National Night Out. And ask Chief Webber, please come up. Right. So National Night Out, August 3rd, 2021. Whereas the National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 3rd, 2021, entitled National Night Out. And the 38th annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the city of Westminster to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And the citizens and communities of the city of Westminster play a vital role in assisting the Westminster Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in the city, and are supporting National Night Out 2021 locally. And it is essential that all citizens of Westminster be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and realize the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in the city of Westminster. And police, community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, Mayor of the City of Westminster, do hereby proclaim August 3rd, 2021 as National Night Out in the City of Westminster, and call upon all citizens of Westminster to join the Westminster Police Department and the National Association of Town Watch in supporting this community event. Adopted the 26th day of July, 2021. There you go. Yep. Would you like to say anything?
Just that we have 6 wonderful sites this year. I'll be talking a little bit more in detail about it when we have staff comments.
All right, great. Thank you.
Well, next, I'd like to invite Richard Turner up.
Good. And this is for recognizing the Community Media Center. Whereas access to information is critical for the healthy functioning of our communities, and the Community Media Center provides information to the community that is not covered by commercial media. And Community Media Center is an important resource for participating in local democratic policies and processes. And communities benefit from increased general awareness of, viewing audiences for, and creators of media content designed for the community. And the Community Center received a 2021 Hometown Media Award from the Alliance for Community Media Foundation. And the Community Media Center was awarded the Best Government Meeting Coverage for coverage of the City of Westminster's Wakefield Valley Park Master Plan Development Community Input Meetings. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, Mayor of the City of Westminster, in conjunction with the Common Council, do hereby honor the Community Media Center for their National Award, and as a champion of the Westminster community, bringing valuable communication tools into the homes of our residents on a regular basis. and especially during the challenging circumstances brought forth during the pandemic. Adopted the 26th day of July, 2021. There you go.
Thank you.
Yep. Would you like to say anything?
Just a quick couple of words.
Please.
First of all, here's the award. It is the National Award for Coverage of a Government Meeting. And I wanted to say, Mayor and Council President and Council members, thank you for all the support that you've provided to the Community Media Center over the years. And it is really a recognition of the kind of innovation that we've been able to achieve, which is a team effort. There are 3 names happen to be on this award because it was submitted for television production. And that includes yours truly, as well as Sherry Taylor, and the voice you normally hear, Aaron Chiazano, who happens to be back, of course, making sure that this meeting is being covered. But it was also a team effort, and it was great working with Abby Gruber. Her team was outstanding, a joy to work with, and always embraced our new ideas that we brought to the process. Oh, yeah, let's try that. When we were posed with the challenge of trying to figure out how to achieve a virtual meeting and then having the snowstorm on the first meeting for public input. I also have to give a little shout out because I turned to one of the more creative members of my family, my daughter, who is a kindergarten teacher. And I said, if there's anybody who can keep an attention of anybody in a virtual environment, these days it is a kindergarten teacher. So my shout out to her for bringing some of the ideas of what kind of applications we could use to make sure that the residents and people who wanted to participate who were home could do so. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Community Media Center. We appreciate the partnership we have, and your help televising all of our meetings during the pandemic. I recall there was a time years ago when we decided we didn't want to spend all that money on the equipment to televise every meeting, and so for a long time we only were televised a couple of times a year, and I think that the pandemic has changed that. We have a steady audience these days, people watching us not just on Facebook, but on the Community Media Center, either on your webpage or on on cable. So I think that clearly this is something that we're going to be continuing to do as going forward, televising these meetings, other boards and commissions that the city has, and people are used to it now, and they like it. So thank you for your help in doing it.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Can I just make a comment on resources? So thank you, Mr. President. I just also wanted to add thank you for the coverage during the election, because I know the forums, of course, were run through the Community Media Center and our little video ads that we did. And I think that provides a really valuable service during that time.
Thank you.
Right. Very true. Thank you, Mayor Becker. We have next item is the consent calendar. We have 5 items on the consent calendar for your approval. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. A motion by Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Mr. Hoff. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. And the consent calendar is approved. Now it's time for our report from the mayor. Mayor Becker.
I have nothing to report this week.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. We'll move on to reports from standing committee. We'll start with our liaison to the Board of the Arts Council, Mr. Dayhoff.
Mr. President, a lot of exciting things are happening at the Arts Council, and I would love for members of the public and my colleagues to go to the website and try and keep up with their full schedule. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Economic and Community Development Committee.
Thank you. We have our first meeting tomorrow at 3. We are meeting live in the new offices at 45 West Main. Look forward to seeing some of you there.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hoff. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I'll report that we have a meeting on Thursday. I forget what time it is.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Deutsch. It's on my calendar. I couldn't remember the time off that. And we're going to be focusing on our discussion on how we want to approach dealing with the funding under the American Rescue Plan. Looking forward to a good discussion, and giving that very important topic. Personnel Committee, Ms. Gilbert.
I have nothing to report for the Personnel Committee.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Mr. Cavacci is not here with us this evening, or for the Public Works Committee either. So Chief, we will look to you for your report on public safety, and I see Mr. Glass is not here with us either, and we have no one else from Public Works that I see. So Mr. Deutsch, I'm sure you'll be able to fill us in on anything we need to know. Recreational Parks Committee, Mr. Dayhoff.
I'd like to defer to the council president, bring a full report on the Tahoma Farm Park ribbon cutting. I thought it was really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to a lot of great feedback from a great park. But how about you make that report?
All right, thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. I was just going to mention that under council comments and discussion. I'll just say that it was a pleasure to be able to represent the mayor so soon into her tenure. She's already blowing events off. No, I'm just
I zoomed into the council meeting from
Yes, you-
vacation.
yes,
You did.
Where's
That's
Mr.
true.
Kamachi tonight?
We're not going to play. We're not going to do that.
No, we're not gonna know.
Just joking. But anyway, it was a pleasure to represent the mayor. Thank you.
I'm
Mayor,
sorry
for-
I missed it.
Maybe it was a terrific, the rest, the other members of the elected body were there, present. It was terrific, I think. First of all, to see such a great crowd. Ms. Gruber did a great job of letting the community know. We had a lot of people clearly interested in that part. So we had, and the kids just, they really weren't interested in speeches. They wanted to go play and get their faces painted and get snowballs and things like that. So we didn't stand in the way for very long. But it was a nice event. And it was nice to be able to say a few words and to have Ms. Gilbert say a few words. But in particular, what was nice was to have Jessica Laird, the chair of the Parks Board, say a few words. I'm so pleased that we finally have a citizens committee to provide advice to the city and the department on parks and recreation issues. And it's a great group being very ably led by Jessica Laird. And, Mr. Wagman is here with us tonight. He's a member. And, that was what made me, in addition to the crowd that was there, that made me happy that we're able to involve the community in that way to be able to do that. So very pleased that we had that opportunity. So a very nice event. And, thanks to everybody who did and played such a role in putting it on, which was Ms. Gruber and her team, because she gave the public works guys the night off. And she was hustling out there, putting up the chairs, and so was her staff and everybody else. So that's all I have to say about that. Move on to report from the Technology Committee. I have no report on behalf of the committee at this time. Move on now to council comments and discussion. Mr. Cavachi's not with us this evening. Go now to Mr. Dayhoff.
Yeah, and to follow up with what it is that you said about the Tahoma Farm Park, it's almost like public art. Ms. Gruber, isn't it? It's like public art. I mean, the equipment is just simply a work of art, and it's fun to study all the lines. And yeah, I got to tell you, the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board, Jen Yang and Mr. Wagman and Steve Ambrose and help me, Josh Ambrose and Steve Burrows, Steve Zaleski, right? It's a great group.
Aaron Burrows.
See, right. Thank you for the rescue there, Ms. Gruber. I also wanted to say that I'm just overwhelmed with great comments about the bike, the work of the police officers on the bikes. And I was hoping that in the spirit of Mr. Cavachi not being here, I was hoping that maybe Mr. Cavachi would be okay with us approving a budget to have a Westminster Police Department Tour de France team next year. You have 8 bikes?
Not quite.
Oh, then I'm sure Mr. Cavachi would be more than happy to provide you with some extra bikes. And we'll look forward to having a Tour de France team next year. And then I guess my final note is that after that, my phone hasn't blown up yet. But he'll still hear. He has ear. He knows everything. Last Friday, I represented the mayor and council with the Baltimore Huns. That was fascinating. Over at Genie Birds, Barney Vogel has a screen painting like they did down in Baltimore, and he has a screen painting celebrating his peach cake with one of the Baltimore Huns on it, and a couple of the Baltimore Huns came up. The Baltimore Huns is a celebration of women who went into the workforce during the war and remained in the workforce during the 1950s and the 1960s. And they're just a lot of fun. And they came to Westminster on Friday to help Genie Birds celebrate their peach cake. And it was just a lot of fun. It made it to the front page of the Carroll County Times. I have no idea how that happened. And it was a great event. I think that's all, Mr. President. I think I dug quite a hole.
I believe that you did, Mr. Layoff. Thank you. Ms. Gilbert.
I don't have too much other than to say to Ms. Gruber, congratulations on the entire month of July. We are almost finished, but I know you guys are just like celebrating, but you and your team have successfully again showed Westminster your creativity and energy level to supply an activity for all of Westminster and beyond for every single day through the entire month of July. And we all here would like to say thank you for that, along with the citizens of Westminster. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Mr. Hoff.
The only thing I will mention is I was asked to serve on the Opioid Prevention Coalition. Chief Ledwell is also on that coalition. It's a countywide coalition that's working on trying to do things to address the opioid epidemic that we have. And I attended my first meeting. It was very interesting. I shared a summary report of overdoses with you all earlier here. And it just meets bi-monthly, and maybe Chief Ledwell might want to say a thing or two about that coalition and the work that they're doing when he gets to his report. But I just wanted to mention that, and I will be glad to share information as it comes about. Again, it was my first meeting, so I'm a little bit new to it and just trying to learn the ropes. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hoff. We have no unfinished business of which I'm aware. We'll move on to new business. We have 3 items under new business. And for the first one, we will turn to Ms. Gruber.
Yes, good evening. I am presenting on behalf of Jessica Laird, the chairperson of the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board. As we were discussing earlier in the meeting, the City of Westminster recently revitalized the park located adjacent to the Avondale Run baseball field at the intersection of Burning Tree Drive and Tahoma Farm Road, just off of Route 31. The park previously included playground climbing rocks that had outlived their useful life and were in a state of disrepair, needing some attention. It was determined that they couldn't be repaired. So through grant funding secured by the city, the park was renovated to include a new playground structure that we hope is going to be a great resource for city residents and visitors alike. To fully complete the park renovation process and as a stipulation for the grant funding reimbursement, we are to acquire new signage for the park to give credit to Maryland's DNR Community Parks and Playgrounds program. So because this park didn't have an official name up until now, the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board was tasked with figuring out how we name the park and obtain signage. So they researched all of the different names that are synonymous for the area. They did some community research, and they didn't find any documentation as to why Boulder Park would have to stay the name when there are no artificial climbing boulders there anymore. So they're proposing moving forward with formally naming the park. The name that they are proffering is Tahoma Farm Park. The Recreation and Parks Advisory Board discussed the findings of their research and the results of a multitude of community conversations. And as I said, they are recommending Tahoma Farm Park based on its location on Tahoma Farm Road. This name will not only establish an identity for this little park space, but also serve to identify its location to the community. So the board did come to a consensus to endorse the recommendation to you, the mayor and council, this evening. And as I said, they are looking to you to authorize and approve the request to officially name the former Boulder Park Tahoma Farm Park.
All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Gruber. So we have a recommendation from the Recreation and Parks Advisory Board. Let's get a motion on the floor so we can properly address this. May I have a motion?
Motion
on
to
the
approve.
recommendation.
Motion to approve, Mr. President.
A motion to approve the recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Mr. Hoff to approve the recommendation. Is there any discussion? I note that we have Mr. Wagman here, who is a member of the Parks Board. And Mr. Wagman, we don't usually do this, but since you're a member, anything you'd like to say? Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
The only question I had there was, Mr. President, there were two different versions of the sign. Is that a particular reason for that, or we're not deciding that? I'm assuming.
I hope we're not.
You're just, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Send it on for informational.
Okay.
purposes.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
that's above our pay grade.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Hearing no further discussion, move on to a vote. All those in favor of accepting the recommendation to name the reconstructed park to Homa Farm Park, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. And we have a new name for the park. Thank you, Ms. Gruber. Move on now to the next item. Ms. Colston, you want to explain to us about bad debt expenses?
Good evening, Council President and Council. Periodically, the Finance Department reviews outstanding and uncollectible business, personal property taxes, and other outstanding and uncollectible fees or charges. The only taxes and charges older than 3 years are reviewed for bad debt expense. When possible, liens are placed on property as a form of collection, but in the cases of bad debt, liens are not feasible, whether it be cost or other reasons. In these cases, the receivable is written off to bad debt expense. All of the businesses listed on the business personal property report are not active with the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. Currently, every month we mail late notices to the business in an attempt to collect. At this point, staff recommends the reversal of receivable and the write-off to bad debt expense in the amount of $1,385 for other charges and $13,287.02 for business personal property taxes. And I am available for questions should you have any.
Thank you, Ms. Colston. May I have a motion on this?
Begrudgingly.
I would like to note that just because we write it off to bad debt does not mean that we cannot collect on it in the future. It is still possible and we still do attempt to do so.
You do still attempt to collect.
Oh, that's a good report.
Yes.
Great.
Mr. President, I do
So
have,
before we have any discussion, we got to get a
Sorry.
motion here. So
You have my.
I will second.
a motion from Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Mr. Hoff. Ms. Gilbert.
so I do have a question. So you said everyone in this list, they do not have an account with the taxation department? Is that what I heard you say?
The personal property taxes report that was given do not have a current, they've ceased operation, so they're not current.
This is the first document. She needs the second document. So
Oh,
this
sorry.
first document's.
Those are other charges, not.
Oh, okay. I was so confused with the way the packet was worded. I thought those properties paid, the next following page were the ones that you were considering, and that just didn't make sense to me. And never mind. I skipped my comment. I'll make everybody all confused. Never mind.
All right. Any further discussion? Mr. Hoff?
My only comment is, I think this is really just an accounting mechanism from the standpoint that realistically, if you haven't collected within 3 years, your hope of being able to collect is pretty slim. So I think this is just from a standpoint of trying to clean up the books from that standpoint. I know that if we look at this list, we see a couple places that are still there. Not talking about the property or the personal property taxes, but otherwise. And my understanding is you're still attempting to collect, but just realistically from an accounting procedure standpoint, we need to write it off. And if we do eventually collect it, we're going to collect it. So I think this is more of a procedure than anything at this point.
All right, very good. Any further discussion? All right, I'm just pleased to see that my name is not on the list.
Yeah, my name's not on that list, is it?
Okay, so the recommendation from the staff is reversal of the receivable and the write-off to bad debt expense in the amount of $1,385 for other charges and $13,287.02 for business personal property taxes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have the ayes have it, and the item is approved. And finally, we have one last item, additional change order. Mr. Deutsch, do you want to take that?
Yes, Mr. President, I will. Speaking for Mr. Glass, we reviewed this together. It is a recommendation for a change order for the City Administrative Offices building. And it relates to an unforeseen condition with the roof of the building, excuse me, the roof of the building. And the degradation of a certain part of the roof fascia became apparent. There's some rotting wood that needs to be gotten out of there. It's water soaked. The insulation is damaged. It needs to be repaired in order for the warranty to remain in effect with the new roof. So this has the endorsement of our architect. Kent Burnett reviewed it. They recommend the change order in the amount of $6,929.84. And we urge you to support that, Council.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deutsch. So the recommendation is to approve change order number 26 in the credit amount. What is that credit amount? I'm not sure I understand why that phrasing there.
I was hoping that nobody would ask that question because I was unable to get an answer to it today. And if you just don't use that word credit, we all understand it's a necessary change order. The word credit, is quite confusing. I mean, we're paying money out. So when I think of credit, I think of money coming in. No. So
I'm going to take your word for it, Mr. Deutsch.
I think accounting terminology is getting confused with normal terminology.
So
we understand we're paying.
we're paying.
All right, very good. Is, we have a motion on the recommendation?
I'll make a motion on the recommendation.
All right, so Mrs. Gilbert makes the motion to approve the staff recommendation on change order number 26. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second by Mr. Hoff. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Questions? Mr. Dayhoff.
refresh my memory. What's the fiscal note?
Pardon me?
What's the fiscal note? How much is it going to cost?
This item?
Yes, sir.
$6,900. $69.29.84.
It's going to take it out of my Tour de France budget.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Mrs. Gilbert.
So I have a question. I know this building was just recently completed. I have a question as to why we have rotting wood on our roof already.
So it's
What?
a vestige of the earlier building before the new construction. And I suspect this should have been observed and resolved when the main construction was occurring, but it was not. And so the architect is saying, hey, you've got to fix this now. Otherwise, it's going to continue to create a future, more expensive problem. And if you don't fix it, you're going to void the roof warranty. So you would have paid it earlier if it had been discovered as part of the overall construction project.
But if they would have caught it in the first place, then it wouldn't have rotted. So
No, the rotting occurred earlier.
Earlier than
This is
prior
not
to
rot
that.
that occurred over the last 2 years.
So
Okay.
Cumulative process.
as I read the documentation, this appears to be what in perhaps other fields we might call a pre-existing condition. And in order for the warranty to be valid, we needed to correct things like this for the warranty to go into effect and still be, for the new work that we did have done, as I understand it.
Okay.
So, thank you. All right, anyone else wish to be heard on this? All right. And there are lovely photographs in here for anybody who wants to see what the rotting wood looks like, so I think that makes it pretty clear as well. All right, so we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of accepting the recommendation on change order number 26, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it, and the item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deutsch, and now we'll move on to departmental reports.
Are we close? Do you want to start?
Sure, thank you. Good evening. I have two items to discuss this evening. As a couple of weeks ago, we were notified by HUD that our 6/30/2020 financial statements needed to be restated to reflect some CARES funding that we had received in the housing department and resubmitted to the REACT submission. So the audit firm has provided those restated financial statements to us today, actually, and they will be posted on the website tomorrow and given to those other entities that need them. There's no change to any of the general fund or other. It was just simply a reclassification of monies received in the housing department. As you are aware, we received just over $9 million in ARPA funds. The first tranche of the amounts that we're going to receive, we'll receive the second half 1 year from this month. And as you spoke, Mr. President, we'll be having a meeting on Thursday to discuss the best uses of those funds. And that will conclude my report unless there's questions. Thank you.
Just a question.
Sure.
So we've received, when we receive the second amount, it'll be for the exact same amount. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
That's the expectation, exactly.
Okay.
That's.
So the original figure that we thought we were going to receive was an estimate,
Mhm.
and this is the actual amount. So we now know exactly what we're going to receive.
Right.
Gotcha. That's just what I wanted to make sure I had total clarity on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's always nice when it's larger than what you thought it was going to be.
Indeed.
It's a nice problem.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you. I just wanted to share something with the mayor and council. An email that I received over the weekend. And it's to the housing department and the streets department. And it said, thank you so much for removing the couch as per my previous email. And thank you for removing the graffiti on the guardrail as according to my previous email. You are the best. If our federal, state, and local government, state government can work as well as local Westminster City government, we would all be in great shape. Please keep up the good work and know that you are all very much appreciated by fair-minded people in Westminster City. I know you get a lot of complaints sometimes, but I just wanted to share one where you got some good news.
Very nice, thank you.
Always nice to hear. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Aaron. McCollum.
Good evening. I wanted to, HR would like to report, as of today, we have received 32 employees who have submitted their COVID card and have signed their acknowledgement form to receive their booster when it's available. So that's exciting, and the departments, it's been sprinkled. HR, Public Works, Police Department. So we've had an employee from each of the departments. The plan, also, we have been assisting the planning department with recruiting for the comprehensive planner position. Hopefully we will have the ad out for that position this week.
Thank you.
That's all to report.
Mr. Depot.
On Thursday, July 15th, the Planning Commission conditionally approved site development plan S19-2 for runway self-storage. And on Tuesday, August 3rd, the Board of Zoning Appeals will review 3 special exception applications, 2 communication facilities, one located at 895 Leidy Road and the other located at 121 Independence Way, and a building material sales and storage yard and contractors equipment and storage yard located at 45 Magna Way. And that completes my report.
Thank you, sir. Chief, you're up.
Good evening. To follow up on the proclamation regarding National Night Out, our 6 locations will be Belgrove Square at West Green and Bond, Carroll Lutheran Village on St. Luke Circle, Dutterers Park, Eagle View and Fenby Farm, which will be at Firestone Road and Tahoma Farm Road, Furnace Hills, which will be at Palmer Terrace Overflow Lot and King Park, So at each of these locations, there'll be block parties, cookouts, youth activities, as well as we'll have our police officers on hand. There'll be some fire EMS and some apparatus, and as well as visits from elected officials. So this is a wonderful opportunity to discuss our collaboration for crime prevention and awareness. And it's also a good opportunity for our citizens to get better acquainted with our local police officers and with their fellow neighbors. So we encourage everyone who can to come out and bring your families. It's always a good time. To follow up on Councilperson Hoff's Opioid Prevention Coalition discussion. So I've been attending since I started here 6 years ago. It's a great group of individuals. It's comprised of government officials such as myself, people from the health department, the state's attorney's office, as well as community members, nonprofit groups, recovery homes, as well as people who have lost family members to overdose. So there's a lot of good behind the scenes efforts going on to address opioid overdoses, from everything starting at education and prevention, going into enforcement, follow-ups, intervention. So the Opioid Prevention Coalition is really the work group within Carroll County to address the issue. There's also a senior opioid policy group that I also attend, more at looking at big picture and setting policy. We're also in the process of working on a breakout group. We call it the Opioid Response Protocol Group. And our goal is to really become a model jurisdiction with best practice for not only prevention and education, but harnessing all these great people from all these different fields, and as well as the citizens, to address education for our first responders, for both police and fire EMS, and then having a team approach, even more so than we currently have with mobile crisis and others, hopefully in real time with overdose, going into how can we better our tools for the investigative process of looking at the dealers when we have a fatal overdose, typically involving fentanyl, and then having more of a coordinated follow-up. We have certain hurdles when it comes to follow-up as far as communication due to HIPAA, and whether an individual ends up going to the hospital versus where we're doing the intervention on the street. So we really have gotten some great partners on board with this effort, from fairly high level at the hospital to elected officials to what I call the can-do group, which is a group of us that are looking at ways to make things happen and to overcome the obstacles. So I'm excited that that's going on, and I'm very positive regarding the outcome. This Wednesday, the annual Defend Life Tour, we're expecting that group to be here between 4:30 and 6. As you remember, in years past, typically they would set up at the intersection of Main and Railroad. But the last time they opted to set up on the median in Route 140. They've advised us that that's their intent again this year. So we'll be ensuring public safety along with Maryland State Police. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. We just awarded Sergeant Tim DeLospedale with our Police Officer of the Quarter designation for the great work that he's doing with our newer officers on his Patrol Squad F. We just awarded Dispatcher Frank Valente with the Civilian Employee of the Quarter Award. He assisted me with 2 significant projects to include a workload analysis that I've been conducting, and he compiled data for a public safety inquiry. And he's doing this in addition to his normal dispatcher responsibilities. So kudos to them. We met today with the manager at the Westminster Walmart regarding working on problem solving some solutions to hopefully cut back the amount of police resources that are currently being utilized for most particularly underringing thefts at the self-checkout registers. So we had some good discussion about, prevention versus continually calling us after the fact. We talked about how we can partner with them to work on things. That was a very positive meeting, and I'm hopeful that we'll see some results as a result. I was notified by Major Pete D'Antuono that he intends to retire effective August 30th. Major D'Antuono started with the Westminster Police Department in 2005. I believe Chief Spalding recruited him to come here. He had previously worked a full career with the Howard County Police Department. He's been an incredible resource when it comes to investigations, internal investigations, and a host of other things. So we'll miss Major D'Antuono. He's indicated to me that he doesn't wish to have much fanfare upon his departure. So we're probably just going to take him out for lunch or something like that. And I believe that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Chief Ledwell, I'll just let you know that I believe the Belgrove Square group just pulled out.
Okay.
And I think we have some older citizens that live there, and I think there were some concerns about the Delta variant and all that. So it had nothing to do with the mission of the night, more so just kind of some community concerns within our particular neighborhood. I live there, full disclosure. So I just wanted to let the council know that they will not be doing something at Belgrove this particular year. So.
And we'll miss the ice cream there.
I know, I was coming to that one.
Thank you.
Chief, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
One, I'll follow up with the National Night Out. Instead of, I guess, the ice cream at Belgrove, you can grab a snowball at King Park. There'll be a lot of different things happening there, along with the Rudolph girls will be there for an activity. I believe it's going to be a scavenger hunt for the kiddos. So I believe there might even be music, if we can pull that off. So there'll be a lot of activities, including free pizza. So you can grab all of it early on in the evening before you're hopping over to some of the other locations. But I also wanted to kind of go back with the information you were sharing. Where is maybe even the county or the city? Where's the talk on the needle exchange program? I know it's controversial for a lot of folks, but has it been brought up or?
Yes, the topic has been discussed at the Opioid Prevention Coalition level. I'm not sure whether it's been discussed at the Senior Opioid Policy Group.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that it's picked up enough traction to be considered, but there has been discussion.
Along with, is there still is there a possibility of a harm reduction work group happening, or is that?
So what specifically do you mean by harm reduction work group?
There was I thought there was at least some talk about having a harm reduction work group to try to lower the risk of harm to some of the folks in the community. Yes. I guess that kind of goes along with the needle exchange program. So
yes, I did. I mean, so there are a lot of efforts underway when it comes to harm reduction in the opioid epidemic. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a little bit of a misnomer because it's drugs other than opioids have become the epidemic. But I can tell you from the Westminster Police Department, we are currently working on an agreement with the health department to do naloxone leave behind. And we are also working with them on, this slipped my brain.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay. If it pops up, I'll let you know. But we have two initiatives. We also have a diversion work group that I'm a member of, where we look at, they call it the sequential intercept model. And it starts at initial interaction, then it goes to the police intervention, where we have lead in place at law enforcement assisted diversion. Mm-hmm. And then if somebody does get entered into the criminal justice system, then there's the programs underway at the state's attorney's office with drug court, and they have also a pretrial intervention. And then, of course, there's
public health personnel at the detention center, and then outreach when people are released. So there is a lot. I know when we talk about the principles of the LEAD program and the principles of a lot of other interactions that are taking place, whether it be mobile crisis, whether it's LEAD or our crisis intervention team officers, we have pushed the educational piece on harm reduction versus, the all or nothing treatment perception. And so that encompasses a lot of different harm reduction initiatives, including meeting people where they're at, understanding the cycle of addiction and the way the brain is affected by addiction, and trying to make that positive interaction so that we know that we're most likely not going to have an immediate surrender to treatment on our initial interaction, especially when somebody's brought out of an overdose with something like naloxone, but understanding ways based upon theories like trauma-informed theory, that with that positive interaction, you plant the seed for something down the road. So we do look at a lot of different harm reduction efforts. I know that the needle exchange has been brought up in conversation. I don't believe that it's picked up traction amongst the group. So, but I can always ask, and I'm sure Councilperson Hall can answer.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Chief.
Sure.
Ms. Gruber.
Good evening. Since your last city council meeting, the Recreation and Parks Department has obviously continued with a brisk schedule for the month of July. We celebrated the grand opening for Tacoma Farm Park, now officially named. Thank you very much. We had a night out with nature at Wakefield Valley. We created enchanted gardens with our community, and we have had numerous occasions where we've invited the community in to engage in different health and wellness programs through the fitness center. In stark contrast to that, we have given away over 1,200 snowballs during the month of July. Today was our last free snowball giveaway at Locust Lane, and our average was 200 to 300 snowballs per Monday. And we are only there for 1 hour. So it's a pretty remarkable turnaround. I have a well-oiled snowball team at the Rec and Parks Department. So yes, we are looking forward to embarking on another night out with nature this Wednesday at Wakefield Valley. If anyone is available to join us, it's always great to see what's blooming and flying around and crawling around out there. We did host over 500 kid ninjas at City Park on Friday the 23rd, most of which had about 2 parents in tow. So City Park was a sea of people and a bevy of activities. We had a lot of fun with that. We were running 2 separate obstacle courses or ninja challenges from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. We had one for children 6 and under, and we had one for children 7 and over. And they could also make a ninja headband, climb a rock wall, and engage in a bungee run. So I think a lot of fun was had by all. Our Facebook page is housing some really great photographs from the day. If you weren't able to see those yet, please visit the page and take a look at the park coming to life. I think one of the most exciting reports, though, moving forward is we are fully engaged in the processes for planning Fall Fest 2021, as we have been used to seeing Fall Fest. So we're looking at a full complement of events, starting with the parade on Thursday night and ending at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Amusements, vendors, children's activities, bingo, scarecrow making,
Food,
thank you. Yes, how can I forget the food? And we have also proceeded ahead with plans for our oyster stroll on Main Street, full stroll, full footprint, which is different from any of the other strolls that we have put out during 2021 thus far. So we were happy to be engaging in conversations that aren't some adaptation of an event that we've been, producing for the past year. So certainly that is exciting news. We were able to deploy a very new volunteer portal program for our Fall Fest charity partners, which is a great improvement for us. It allows them the ability to enter and track their volunteers using a robust kind of web-based management system that was really built functionally for just this application. So we have trained our charity partners on how to use that new program. It's working quite well. And I believe, one other exciting piece of information. This is the first time for the Westminster Family Fitness Center. We've always sort of dabbled in aquatic fitness during the month of August when swim team is done using our facility in off hours. And I'm happy to report that we will have a more robust schedule for aqua fitness this August. We will be offering classes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, August 10th through August 31st. From 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. just before the pool opens. And this is a great improvement to what we've been able to do in the past. We would usually hold these classes in the evening hours, the last hour the pool's open, and we would cancel more of them than we could have because of thunderstorms. So we're hoping this change of time attracts more people and certainly allows us to produce a more consistent schedule. That concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
Can I just, Ms. Gruber, what is the date of the oyster stroll?
It is the second Saturday in October, which I believe is the 9th, but I don't want to go by my memory.
I think
it is the 9th. Okay.
Thank you. Just want to put that on my calendar.
Mr. President,
Mr. Dayhoff.
I have a follow-up question also.
Sure.
Refresh my memory, who are our charity partners this year? I know the municipal band is.
Westminster Municipal Band.
Yes, ma'am.
Special Olympics of Carroll County. MCQE Pet Pantry.
Oh, good.
Yes. And Potomac Case Management.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Sure.
Mr. Banger, do you have something report on the fire department?
No, it's nice to see everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tim Bangard. It's actually now Dr. Bangard. I was able to finish my doctorate just about a month ago. So that's been a major accomplishment in my personal life. But the fire department still continues to provide fire and EMS protection, obviously, to the Westminster community. For those of you that don't know, we run about 7,500 calls between in-city and in our first due, which is just outside the city limits per year. We run just about a $5 million operation out of that small little firehouse down off of John Street. So we're running quite the operation. I understand that Councilmember Dayhoff keeps you informed. I read the minutes and see that he comments for us, which we appreciate. But a couple initiatives coming our way. We will begin our weekly Friday night bingo again on August 13th. Not looking at it being a Friday the 13th surprise, but it is Friday the 13th. So, we hope for a good turnout with that. The October 9th day with the Oyster Stroll, we will also be hosting an open house that has been done in conjunction with the Oyster Stroll in years past. So I believe some people from inside will be, or should have already communicated.
I haven't heard yet. So.
Okay, well, there you go. But other than that, we continue to look forward and continuing working with the city. We had a nice conversation with the new mayor 2.5 weeks ago or so. And that was very enjoyable, and we enjoyed that audience. And we continue to brace for the county fire EMS takeover that has stalled yet again, as you read in the newspaper. So we are sitting on eggshells waiting to hear what comes from that. So more to come. Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Deutsch?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody. Mr. Banger, nice to see you. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thank you. The final item on our agenda is citizen comments, when we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues that pertain to tonight's agenda or any other city issues. During the pandemic, when we could not welcome our citizens to attend our meetings, we adopted the practice of inviting comments to be sent to us through our city clerk at comments@westgov.com. Now that we're back here in person, we will discontinue reading those comments publicly. although we will still welcome people sending us comments through that address, which will then be shared with the mayor and council. For people's comments to be heard publicly, we ask that they again join us here at the council meetings every other Monday night, or rather twice monthly, the second and fourth Mondays of each month. I have one comment that was emailed to us from Mr. Benjamin Yingling of 58 West Main Street. To Mayor and Common Council, thank you for your continued commitment to Westminster. The staff memo for the upcoming Economic and Community Development meeting on July 27th states that the fiscal year 2022 budget allocates $25,000 for a downtown parking study. The fiscal year 2022 budget adopted May 10th, 2021 allocated $190,000 for a parking study to include metered systems. The allocation is listed under capital improvements in ordinance number 935. An updated comprehensive parking study is a critical marketing tool to attract downtown development, specifically as it relates to the agreed upon boutique hotel concept for the Stocksdale property. It may be useful to consult with the city consultants, Partners for Economic Solutions. They can provide guidance to the committee on the types of studies available and how they can contribute to accomplishing our goals. It is very good to hear the EDC committee is getting in front of the water allocation issues. I look forward to hearing about it. Benjamin Yingling. And we thank Mr. Yingling for his comments. And that's all we have on that. And so that concludes our meeting. And that concludes the agenda and our meeting. Our next regular meeting will be the second Monday in August. The date will be
9th.
9th, thank you. And with that, without objection, we adjourn. Encourage everyone to please stay healthy and safe. Wear your masks, and if you haven't, please get your shot.
Thank you.